everybody, and welcome to episode 98 of the Self-Publishing Roundtable, the podcast for indie authors, by indie authors, where we discuss today's topics and issues that matter to the business of the self-published author. I am your moderator, Wade Finnegan, and my co-panelists, as always, are Michelle Reed.
Hello.
You'll see her in a minute. And Xavier Granville.
Hello there, Internet.
Our special panelist for this episode is Percival Constantine. Say hello, Percival.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks for coming on. He gave me permission to call him Perry, so I don't have to try to do that all night long. So Perry, it's
such a great name, though. You can't get a better name than Percival Constantine.
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah. Maybe I'll talk about that.
It's actually my real name. It's not a pen name.
Yeah, I love it.
Nice. So tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about inspiration, things to keep us going as writers when the time is very difficult, or you get a bad review, or things like that come up. We're also going to just, talk a little bit about some advice we've received along the way that we thought was very helpful, and maybe some advice that we avoided, or how we choose to avoid certain things, or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of how the discussion is going to play out. As always, though, we would like to include people watching live on the selfpublishingroundtable.com. So we encourage you to leave questions, lots of questions and comments, and we'll do our best efforts to get them into the show. At the end of the show, please take a moment. I know I say this every week, but I got to keep reminding you people because not everybody does it. Make sure you leave a review on iTunes for us. Give us a thumbs up or a share on the YouTubes. Anywhere around the internets is good for us. It helps keep the show viable as we continue to look for a sponsor and all those good things. So we
should
appreciate
promise them
it.
chocolate if they leave a review.
I should. I already got a chocolate deck going with somebody else.
Too.
So yeah, but I probably
keep
should.
watching the mail.
You keep watching the mail? Okay. So I got that expectation out there, yeah. So if you want chocolate sent your way, leave us a review. Not really, but it's on.
Way to burst that bubble early.
Yeah. So before we get discussing tonight's topic, Perry, I know you've been a listener for quite a while, seen you in the comments. I've even done a few after parties. But just in case, for those people that aren't familiar with you, could you give us a little brief introduction of your author experience and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. I started self-publishing back in 2007, actually.
Nice.
I wrote a novel and tried to find an agent and got like maybe 3 responses for the 50 queries I sent out, and all of them were basically no. So then I found out about self-publishing, and this is before the Kindle, all that, so basically it was only print on demand. And then, I just kept on doing my thing, publishing through print on demand for a few years, and it was only within like the last year or two that I found out about this larger self-publishing community and all this stuff with more of a focus on ebooks and the like. And so that, and then I started listening to things like you guys, self-publishing podcasts, Joanna Penn, Simon Whistler, and it started to really get me to kind of reevaluate the way I've been doing everything. So even though I've been been publishing since 2007, I basically kind of consider like 2015 kind of like a rebirth year for me. So it's kind of like starting all over from scratch in a way.
Nice. And you do have several titles out though, right? I think I counted like there was over a dozen titles on your Amazon page.
Yeah, I've got a few short stories I did for some anthologies. I've got 2 series of novellas that I do. The 3rd book in the Myth Hunter series just came out, and the 3rd book in my Infernum series comes out next month. And I've got a serial I do, a superhero serial, and then I've got another like series of short stories I do with a publisher, small press publisher.
Wow.
And I have a few standalone books, too, that I did.
Excellent. That's awesome. So, got lots of experience to talk about. And so I've been writing longer than I have, at least, well, I shouldn't say that. I've been writing for a long time, but seriously writing, I guess, longer than I have. So it'd be interesting to see. We'll let you share some of your stories when you've come up to the brick wall of, am I good enough? Should I keep doing this? I think
there have been lots of brick walls.
Yeah, I think there is for a lot of us, or if you're normal anyway. So yeah, so we'll share some of those stories and that sort of stuff. So I guess we'll kind of run down the list. We'll start with you, Perry. But so, where do you find your biggest inspiration? What inspires you the most to be a writer?
I just kind of always liked telling stories, I think. I mean, even I started writing when I was 10, and even before that, you know, I'd always like make up stories with action figures and that kind of thing. So I just always really enjoyed telling stories, and I guess that's just where it comes from. And even times when I said, "Oh, I'm going to stop writing," I still end up taking maybe a month or two off and then going back to it. So, I mean, like inspiration-wise, I think a lot of it is I just like inspiration for stories and stuff like that. It's, you know, I watch a movie or TV show or read something, and I'm thinking like, oh, I want to do something like that too.
Cool. Xavier, inspiration.
Yeah, no, I definitely what Perry said. I guess I'll call you Perry. Yeah, I definitely. Whenever you're going to be watching anything or listening to any kind of media, like it's always the brain's a sponge. You know, it's going to be picking up on anything and everything that you see and perceive in life. So I think that inspiration in general comes from the weirdest of places. So as far as what inspires me for writing. Yeah, ideas are fickle things because they can come from anywhere. But as far as what drives me to write and what inspires me to write, tends to be the community, the self-publishing community. Hearing people just saying that, you know, I got this much edited today. I wrote many words today. Hearing someone just say that, you know, had a good giveaway. They didn't sell much, but you know, after they did the free giveaway, but you know, they gave away a bunch of books. You know, those little things, that's inspiring to me. Just hearing little success stories, and I think that's those little things kind of egg me on to push further with my writing. You know, and just hearing more people hacking away at it, that inspires me.
Nice, yeah. I'll kind of piggyback on that, and the reason I go to you, Michelle, because I noticed you're muted, so I want to make sure you were ready to answer before I ask you.
Yeah, I'm experiencing technical difficulties, sorry.
Okay, I'll wait a minute, see if you can get that figured out.
Oh no, it's going to be a while.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that, Xavier. I think finding people that you have the commonality of being in the trenches with, I think is huge. When you first start this, a lot of times you feel at least I did, very, very alone, right? You're just like, okay. And, you know, I had some initial success, if you want to call it that, like in college and stuff, writing things, but it wasn't mainly fiction. It was like articles and things like that, and got published a few times in magazines and such, which boost me up. But at the same time, when you dive into fiction, it's just such a different animal that I always knew I wanted to write fiction. I mean, in my family, we have a pretty good oral tradition. Like my grandfather's a great storyteller, and I still, even at 44 years old, love listening to his stories about him growing up and stuff, and the things that he experienced. And so I think that's what got the seed kind of going for me. But I totally concur with you on the day-to-day stuff. Even things like Facebook, which I used to detest. Like I used to like Facebook is.
Hey, no.
But I know I've been converted. I mean, in a lot of ways, and maybe that's why like my students don't use Facebook nearly as much because all the old people are taking it over. But it is so true. The Facebook is so yesterday for them. But yeah, just getting into groups, like Perry and Michelle and CC, that group that he started. I mean, I just love kind of going on there and, like you say, and hearing those little triumphs. And then like I saw a post today in another group that I had where, somebody got I can't remember her name. I think it was Meg or something. Somebody got a person like being snarky with them and like, well, why would I pay you for this, and stuff. And everybody just boom comes to her rescue. Like, well, screw that douchebag. It's like, yeah, writing's a hard gig, and it's you should get paid, and everybody was right there in her corner instantly. So I think it's something like Perry mentioned in his introduction. Finding these people, the podcast, that sort of thing, this whole community of writers, and being part of that community is a big deal. It really, really helps. So, that's where I would say I find it. And we just lost Michelle, darn it. So hopefully she'll be back.
Well, before I started commenting on that community thing too, before I started self-publishing, I was writing internet comic book fan fiction on the internet, and one of the reasons that I wrote so much during that time, all throughout high school, was because I was part of a very active community. And every time other people were putting stuff out, that kind of pushed me, subconsciously to want to put out more stuff as well. And that helped me, get into a daily habit of writing. And since self-publishing, that kind of dropped off a little bit and became more do it when I had time, do it when I felt like it, because for a long time I wasn't really part of the community, or the community I was a part of, they weren't really very productive. But since I joined, like CC's group, K-boards and other types of groups like that, and seeing how people are putting out stuff every single day and trying to get those words in every day, that's pushed me to want to, it's almost kind of like a competitive thing. I kind of want to get in there and keep on going too.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, like the whole group think type of thing, right? It's just, yeah, it motivates the heck out of you. And being part of this podcast for me has been a huge motivation. It keeps me thinking about stuff too. There's so many distractions in daily life, and things to do and stuff like that. But I know each week I got this podcast I'm doing, and I got these people counting on me to be there for it, and I think that really helps to motivate and keep me going. So it has become a big part of my routine. The next kind of thing I wanted to look at, and I'll, Xavier, have you maybe look at comments too. I'm trying to look as I go too. So, and hopefully, like I say, Michelle will be back. But the next thing I'll look at is like when you guys come up to a wall, when you have some difficulty or bad reviews or whatever it is that's really brings you down as a writer, what are some of the things you guys do to cope with that or to get over it? Who would like to grab that first?
Doesn't matter.
Go, Xavier. Good, you said something.
I think when it comes to things, yeah, like bad reviews and the things that are out of your control. I think those are the things that people on instinct are going to get upset about the easiest or the most often, I find, just because it's easy. Like, it's like, who do you have to blame kind of a thing, So I think that those go-to reactions are natural, but I think when you're faced with those situations, you got to look to beyond the situation, and I often kind of look to external things from myself, especially things just like nature. The other day, I pulled out a thistle that was probably about 3 feet in height. So you can only imagine how deep the root went of this plant. So I pulled this thing out, and it was huge, and I just threw it down on the grass because I spent so long pulling at this thing, and that once I got it out, I was done with it. I was pissed off and just threw it on the ground. I'm like, I'm not going to throw it. I'm just leaving this. So it rained the next day, and by the time that it had rained the next day, that thistle, its roots had re-rooted back into the ground, and the plant that was laid down like flat on the ground, its head, like the other end of the plant, had rose back up to face the sun. That's resiliency. That's really giving it your all to live and survive and fight, and that's if you can't see inspiration in a thistle, maybe you're not looking.
Either that or you're just really pissed off at your garden. It looks like crap.
Well, but then these problems arise for very good reasons, sometimes, and as much as the thistle provided a lot of anger for me for a little while there, you also have to realize that the thistle just means that your ground is compacted and your soil is calling out for weeds that have deep tap roots to provide aeration, and every setback, as much as in nature, is to a writer is just that next step forward. So if you're going to be looking at all of those individual bad reviews or something like that, just think of it as a single weed in your garden, and it's not a big deal, and in fact it's just a sign that the natural system is continuing.
I should have gone first. I don't know how I'm going to follow up with that analogy.
Yes, that was a great analogy, wasn't it? That was. But Perry, you got to try, because that's
okay.
Xavier's on the show, so.
I do this every week.
Yeah, hard act to follow. With bad reviews, I try to consider. At first there's that initial moment of like, oh, what the hell's wrong with this guy? But then after that, you got to try and consider the review, and sometimes there's that moment of self-hate when you're reading a bad review. Other times, you got to kind of look closer at the review and consider things like, is this person actually part of my audience, or are the things they're complaining about just something they're seeing wrong? Like, I got one complaint saying that my characters weren't well developed, but then I looked at other reviews saying that they loved the character development. So sometimes you got to think, oh, maybe that's just one guy who didn't quite get the level he wanted, or maybe the type of development that was there wasn't what he was looking for. So yeah, considering the source kind of helps with that. Like you mentioned, Wade, about having these author groups, and especially the private ones, it's you can just kind of rant about stuff like that in those, and that can kind of help you get over it a little bit without running the risk of maybe responding to the review or getting in some ridiculous flame war.
Good point. Yeah, give you a chance to just vent a little bit. I think it's always good to have that. I mean, I know as a teacher we get that too. You have your teacher friends that you can vent things to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that definitely helps. One of the things I've been trying to do a lot more is to keep perspective. It's difficult to put your self out there, and not get defensive and things like Xavier talked about. But one of the things that I have been thinking about is like, well, yeah, but I could be doing so much other things that would be so much more mundane, and how is my life terrible because someone doesn't like my writing? It's not, right? I mean, you walk downtown and you see somebody living out a shopping cart, and you're going, yeah, because I got a bad review or whatever isn't really that big a deal. And so I just try to remind myself that of perspective all the time, and how fortunate we are, whether we sell books or not. Just the fact that we get the opportunity to sit down and write and share some things, and be part of a community, I think is a great way to get over that and kind of get over yourself. Now, it doesn't mean it's always perfectly done by me included, right? I mean, there's times when I think that, man, I suck and I shouldn't write anything. So, but it is, I think keeping a perspective is very important, because there could be a lot worse things than sitting down in a chair and trying to get some words on a page. So that's one of my biggest pieces of advice and things to look at. Michelle Reed is back in the house, and I want to get her in, so I'm going to put her on the spot. Woot woot.
I didn't hear most of what you guys have been talking about, so just...
Well, that's okay, because it's just from your personal side. So we're just asking you. So when you come up with a roadblock, when you come up with something that makes you down, bad review, etc., what do you do to try to get over that? What do you try to do to right the ship and get yourself over that hump?
I drink. and then I cry. And then I usually message you guys and be like, life sucks, everything's awful. And then someone says, you're a whiner, cut it out. And then I go and do whatever I need to do.
Oh,
That's exactly how it happens.
Yeah, well, I did want to perpetuate that drinking thing with writers, but it does seem to come up a little bit on the show, so maybe there is some truth to it.
There
There's
really
definitely
is.
truth to it.
There really is. Write drunk and edit sober. And that's...
Oh, really? I've been doing it the other way around.
Doing it wrong.
Switch it up.
Oh, well, okay. I guess that does that.
I'm sorry, was I supposed to like wax poetic about it?
Yeah, well, I know we're probably too serious. I haven't even looked at the comments yet. They're probably calling us a bunch of names and stuff.
Oh well. That's what the drinking is for.
There you go. Again.
No, usually, like, I'll stay up late tonight because I was supposed to get 4,000 words in today, which I do not. So it'll be another late night.
So, well, hopefully there's enough wine to go around.
Matt Morris is ridiculous. I'm just going to say that right now. Matt Morris says hello, everyone, in the comments.
Matt had a live show that I tried to catch earlier today, but I ended up getting
I didn't get to see it.
So we'll go back, Matt, and we'll watch that. Maybe.
John Reed keeps leaving me alone to take care of all of these children by myself, so I didn't get to watch his show.
Boo, John Reed. No, I won't boo John Reed. John Reed's great, but he needs to come back home.
And we're referring to the Author Strong podcast, just so Matt is happy.
Oh, there you go. Give him a plug.
And, yeah, at least so when we mention him by name and say he had a live show, it makes sense. He has a podcast.
No, he just has a live show by himself. Yeah.
You can just tune in and listen to Matt talk.
I would, too. He's a smart boy.
Oh, okay, now quit. Okay? Quit. He's not that great.
He is, too. Don't be jealous.
That should fire him up. We can start a debate. Who's better, Matt or Carl? Oh, there we go. That'll get the
better at what?
I don't want to see that fight.
Here, but
just better.
Just better at life. I have a definite answer to that. I'm not going to say it out loud.
Okay. Yeah. Let them hash it out in the comments. That should get things moving along pretty well. Okay, so switching gears a little bit professional. One of the things that I wanted to talk about too, and I don't know, and I'll ask you guys because I've been feeling this way lately. Is like the author communities are awesome. There's no doubt about it. I'm part of it, and I'm really, really thankful for it. But at times, it seems like, especially lately for me, the advice almost seems overwhelming. Like it's coming from all sides. And everybody's got an opinion. People like to share their opinions. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying. And then, and if it sometimes gets pretty convoluted, at least in my little head. So, what do you guys think? Is there certain advice? Do you follow certain people for inspiration and that sort of thing? Do you filter things out? Yeah, anywhere with that. Perry,
you're gonna have to pick someone, yeah.
I think you gotta filter stuff out because there's so much advice coming from so many different directions, especially in self-publishing. Go and select, go wide. Put out a book every month. Put out a book, focus more on editing the book and putting out a few books a year or something like that. So, I remember when I was part of author groups on LinkedIn, there were people saying that they would never put out ebooks and should you self-publish? Should you go traditional? I mean, there's so much advice. If you don't filter it out, you're going to go crazy trying to follow it all. One of the things I do is, I try to consider, who is giving the advice, and also I'm kind of stubborn too. So if I don't, so there are times where I'll just be like, yeah, screw that. I'm going to do what I want anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point. Xavier? How do you deal with this information overload?
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, both what you said, Wade, and what Perry said too. I think people put too much thought into finding inspiration in a certain person. I think inspiration is great when you see someone, do something that you think is, oh, well, they've made a lot of money, or they're famous in their own right, and not being profitable, but the same right there being shared around. Like, there's lots of different reasons that you can be inspired by a person. But I think, it's the consistency of the messages that really dictate, whether they're of any value. So I try not to be inspired by people as much as what they are saying at the time. So that, you'll end up seeing inconsistencies in those that are truly inspirational and those who are not. So I think you shouldn't be putting too much stock in what one individual person is always saying, because those opinions are going to change, and your opinions are going to change, and not what one person is telling you is ever going to remain the rule for you, because the rule for you is your rule. You are going to set the tone for your life, and I think no matter what inspiration coming from external forces will remain that external for the better part. It'll help shape you, but in the end, it's you that does the molding.
Again, waxing poetic, but intrinsic motivation, right? It's especially for a writer, it's got to be there. Otherwise, it's never gonna.
Yeah, no, I think that it's almost like a necessary evil. We aspire to be like other people that we kind of put in the spotlight a bit, but I don't think we should be completely agreeing with whatever one person will constantly be saying. So pick or choose your idols, but inspiration should be found in what the person is saying rather than who that person is. And if they do it in a consistent way, then then you can put some more stock into what they're saying. But it's the same reason why you'll see for nonfiction books, everyone has a #1 diet loss. Like how to lose weight in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever. The gluten diet, the paleo diet. All these different things. There's no one answer to any of these things, and what they are saying might be true for you, but ultimately it's going to be you that decides that.
Yeah, great point. One of the things too that I've been seeing a little more of lately, which is I don't know where it necessarily comes from. I don't want to say that people are a certain way or not, but things like jealousy maybe, or just competitiveness or whatever. And if you happen to follow a certain person, group, whatever, and then somebody from the outside of that group or whatever kind of attacks them, then that you start to question, okay, well, should I be following this or should I be doing this? And I think it's that indecision that really leads to a lot of problems, because you get to this start-stop kind of mode. And I like what you said there, Xavier, because if you're true to yourself, it doesn't matter if last week they said this and then next week they say this, or if someone else says, no, don't listen to them, they're full of crap, and those sort of things, because you know that what you want to do, and you take little bits of that and go with it however it fits for you. I think that's one thing that we've been trying to do on the show, and hopefully doing a better job of it, of not coming off as an advice show. Sure, our guests will have advice, but doesn't mean that we necessarily even follow that advice or whatever. So I really like your perspective you had there, because it's about taking everything in and then making it your own, for sure.
Yeah, and you can see the same thing with those people that you might have a system that works for you, but trying to push it on a mass market on everyone, and thinking that it's going to be a uniform way for the system to work for everyone, no matter how you kind of end up selling it, it kind of ends up sounding how like the John Locke examples, like how to make money off of Kindle in 50 days. You know, like these kind of if you're trying to package all these things and put all this advice and just saying like, this is how you do it, and listen to me. Sure, you are packaging everything that you've done right at the time, but you've also packaged everything that you've done wrong at the time, because you are a victim of time, and it's going to change as much as the markets are, as much as everything will. So, you know, take advice, but know that it has an expiration date.
Has an expiration date. Nice. I like that. Yeah. Michelle, how do you?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Perry.
Go ahead.
No, go
I
ahead,
was
Perry.
going to say the things that worked for people who are successful now, because the market changes so frequently and so drastically. I mean, there's no saying that what worked for them will work now for you. So I think it's also important to kind of consider what your goals are and kind of pick and choose the advice that as it applies to your goals and your career and what you want to do.
Yeah, because ultimately, in the end, the only really true advice that someone can give you as a writer that works is write good books.
Right.
So, like
no pressure.
Yeah. So there's many different avenues of which you can go about selling this book or getting this book to readers and all the stuff, but. Is there one system? No. And is there one person that has all the advice in the world, and should we listen to them? If it works at the time, maybe it might be to the advantage. And in the same sense that right now, KU is the thing. Kindle is the where you're making your money. So I think it's definitely fine to put all your eggs in Amazon right now, but I think you do have to be doing so with the mindset of being like, I'm positioning myself in a way that I can immediately go all to other markets. But for the time, I'm making this money. So you don't want to be shouting the bandwagon of Amazon KU as it is right now, because that might change. It's not that your point is wrong. It's just the fact that you're a victim of only that time where it does work, and that you can't predict these things in the future, and you can't predict that any one system is going to work for everyone either.
So true, and I'm kind of even thinking of a bigger picture sense, not just necessarily from the business side, but for myself as a writer. I think about my career in teaching, and the teacher I was 15 years ago is way different than the teacher I am today. But I couldn't be the teacher I am today without doing the stuff I did 15 years ago. You can't leapfrog that experience and that time and getting to know yourself and how you do things and learning from mistakes. I think there's a lot of people, and I've fallen victim to this trap too. I think it's because it's new, it's now, right? It's awesome, it's really cool, and everybody wants to get wrapped up in it, and all these people that had these gatekeepers that kept them away for a long time, and it's just like it's a new playground, and it's great, but you still you can't leapfrog all of that stuff, right? You got to learn what works best for you, how you work as a person. I think one of the things that I fell off a lot was there's just a lot of pressure to write a lot of material right now, even if it's not overt, right? Even if it's not like this, everybody they're saying you have to write 5,000 words a day or whatever. But there's just a lot. Everybody's talking about it, how to write faster, how to write more, how to get published quicker, how to get books to market fast, and
yeah.
And not that the old way was good, where I'm reading Stephen King's On Writing again right now, and he talks about waiting 2 years for his book to get out. I don't want to go back to that.
How not to get published ever.
Right, right. So I don't want to necessarily go back the other way, but it's just at the same time there's just kind of this pressure about, you know, you have to write more words, and you have to get them out there, and it's just learning. And that's what learning is, right? If you knew it all already, you wouldn't have to be here, right? It's one of those things where we got to keep building, and remember that everybody's at a different spot in the learning curve too, right? That's another thing too. I think, you know, a lot of people, they get maybe like a little defensive and stuff. It's like, well, I'm not there and you're here, and well, yeah, but I'm just trying to tell you what I think, you know. But it's easy to get wrapped up in kind of the politics of it. So, Michelle, you haven't said oh, go ahead.
Robert Charles on the website says, "I'm inspired by people who make lots of money. I know that sounds greedy, but I like money."
And there's nothing wrong with liking money.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Michelle, do you ever feel overwhelmed by the amount of information that's coming at us?
Yeah, I've mentioned that lots of times before. I really do. It makes me freeze up and not do anything. Or it used to. Now I drink and then cry and then listen to whoever's talking the loudest, and I do that.
So that's why you hear Matt a lot, because he doesn't actually talk.
Well, when the advice becomes so overwhelming, I think you gotta figure out when it's time to kind of unplug for a little bit.
Yeah.
And as great as these communities can be, you know, sometimes, you know, you just gotta take a step back and just focus on what you need to do and just stop listening to the advice.
You got to pick a direction and just go, and then if it doesn't work, do something else. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Quit taking it so seriously would be my advice. Just do it. Just do it.
Just don't take yourself so seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only time I would say that wouldn't work is if like the next paycheck would keep you from not putting food on the table. But hopefully nobody.
It's time to get a second job.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
And that's what Matt Morris would tell you to do. That's why you should listen to him and his other strong podcast.
I didn't realize we were pimping him out tonight, but okay.
I didn't realize either, but I just go with it.
Matt is going to be happy.
Actually, something that came up in the community the other day, I think actually Cece put this in our community on Facebook, not to exclude you, Xavier, I'm just saying. But
wait as a jerk.
Yeah. Talking about, and this, I like this topic because I think we have 4 totally different perspectives, maybe. So we'll see. But balancing the life work thing, it comes up a lot in corporate America, and jobs, and having kids, not having kids, having a spouse, having a supportive spouse, which we talked about last show, or 2 shows ago, sorry. But anyway, the idea of how do we balance all this stuff out? Because almost all of us have a day job. Not everybody listening, but yeah. So we all have day jobs and families and stuff. So how do you guys cope with that? Xavier, you get to go first because I said so.
Sorry, I spaced out. I was reading the comments. What was the question?
I'm glad I'm not the only one that does that.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Hard to keep up with both.
All right, I'll try one more time, Xavier.
Sorry.
Balancing life,
yes,
family, and other jobs, other commitments. I know you personally don't have kids, but you have some big family commitments that you are working through, and you do lots of other side work and stuff. So how do you balance that?
Well, I think no matter what, you have to pick or choose your battles, no matter what, in life and in business, because life, especially those things like family, since they're beyond your control, it's goes back to like what I said about a bad review. Life throws curveballs, and you have to deal with them, and you have to kind of try to find ways to deal with those curveballs in a way that you can either reschedule your business time. Like, in my case, I have to do a lot of stuff around the house because I'm providing for my father who's ill. So I have a lot of different things around the house that I have to do each day, and so I found that I couldn't do my regular writing schedule of what I used to be able to do when I was writing my first book, because I would be writing for at least 4 or 5 hours, kind of on and off straight. I'd take a 15-minute break, 20-minute break for a cigarette or something like that. But it would kind of be this loose schedule over. It's like I'm writing from the morning to the evening, and I would just do that, and didn't matter how many words I would type out, because I wasn't in that stress of trying to push word count. This was my first book, so I couldn't do that anymore because of how my schedule works now. So the way that I do it now is with kind of I call it the tomato method, because it's not quite the Pomodoro method, because what I'll end up doing is a 25-minute gap, and then I'll have to do something around the house, and then I'll come back for 25 minutes. But the point is that I try to schedule my day, because I'll have a goal in mind of what I have to do, word count, in order to kind of make myself happy. So rather than trying to aim at getting that word count in these certain what time day I have, I try to think about it as how many 25-minute gaps is it going to take me to hit that. So when I start doing them and I figure out how many words kind of every 25 minutes, what's my average, across these days, I found out that my average is somewhere around 500 words every 25 minutes. So if I'm writing average 500 words every 25 minutes, how many 500-word gaps can I fit in my day? And if it's none, it's none, and I'll fix it the next day by adding another couple more 25-minute gaps. But you do have to think of those little ways that you can fit those the time and the business in.
Do you actually write those down, Xavier, like at the beginning of your day? Like, okay, I know I can do 4 blocks today, or I can do 3. Do you actually physically write them down?
Yeah, if I've been at that in the past 2 weeks now, just because I needed a better system, and so far it's working. The past 2 weeks I've written close to 15K, so I'm happy. And like I had hoped to have Dinosaur Noir 2 finished by the end of June. It's not really looking like I'll have it done, but I think I'll have hit the word count, but it just won't be ready for publish yet. So
That's an awesome word count for the week, by the way.
Thanks. So that's what I mean. Like, as much as I could get upset about not being able to get the book out in time because of my schedule and stuff like that, I also have to look at it in the light of, hey, you did 14K plus that week. That's that's your silver lining.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, celebrate that, exactly. Perry, how about you? How do you balance it out? I know you don't have children, correct? But
nope, never gonna happen. I'm not going down that road.
Probably smart, no.
Work in elementary school for about 5.5 years, and that kills any desire for kids you might ever have.
I think listening to me on the phone right before we got on the show would probably do the trick.
Yeah. So, but you are working in other areas, and fiance or married, one or the other, right?
Live-in girlfriend.
Okay, there we go. Close enough. So, how do you balance all that stuff out?
Well, luckily, my work schedule is structured where I work every day, but I only work like maybe a few hours a day, and I don't have to be there the entire time. So like Monday's like my longest day, and then Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays I only have to be there like an hour and a half, 2 hours at a time. So being able to structure my day around those types of blocks really helps. And you got to kind of keep things realistic. It's great if you can write 5,000 words a day, but if you can only do 1,000 a day, then that's probably what you should shoot for instead. And because I used to shoot for 2,000 a day, and then I kept missing it. Every time I missed it, I'd feel bad about it, and then the next day I wouldn't want to write at all. And so the problem would just keep getting worse and worse. But when I switched to 1,000 a day, I found it a little bit easier to maintain consistency. So now I shoot for 1,000 minimum, and then see. Usually I'll beat that, which then I feel great, and I want to do it again the next day. But and as far as balancing family and schedules, like Xavier was saying, you just got to kind of know when you can fit that time in, how much time it'll take you to do that. So I'll do. I found that I work better at night, but if I wait until night to write, then it's harder. Then it's easier to miss that time. So I switched over to writing in the morning instead.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I find that if I schedule things at night, something else pops up a lot, whereas in the morning you don't seem to have that. Would you concur with that? Yeah.
I avoid nighttime always as far as planning. Like if I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to be staying up all night and getting this work done, hell no, that's never
happened. I do that every single time.
I don't know why I can't do it.
I can't get up in the morning.
Yeah, you're not an early riser either, so that hurts too. It seems a lot of people prescribe get up an hour early and write before you go to work or whatever, and which is good advice. But if you don't sleep, or if you have a hard time sleeping, I know and I'm not just picking on one of my co-hosts here, because I know there's a lot of people like this that have insomnia and things like that. That can also lead to more problems.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things too, I don't know if Perry you have this at all, but coinciding with your spouse or significant other's schedule, right? Me getting up extra early kind of throws a wrench in my wife's routine, which I don't want to do that to her, because she's got her routine that she wants to do, and she's going to work. So yeah, it's nice to say that I'll get up and do an hour early, but a lot of times I don't.
See, I don't have that problem. For me, that works out nicely because she sleeps like a rock, so I can get up anytime. She'll still be snoring away, and in the morning she's always getting ready for work anyway. So that's usually the time when I can write. So she's too busy to pay any attention to me anyway.
Nice. Well, you need to keep what you got, because your things are going pretty good there.
That's the whole no kids thing.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about that.
Yeah.
You and Darren Wearmouth, Colin. I think they're onto something.
And Joanna Penn, too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't have kids, but I do have to say that every time that my brother and his wife bring Harrison, my young nephew, over, he's 2 months old, and he is a time suck.
Yeah, that's what they are.
This doesn't, like I said, I'm the uncle. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, but I'm kind of like your kid, because I'm super annoying and I message you all day long.
Nah, I guess.
You just don't have to, feed me and stuff.
Yeah, and you don't cry near as much.
Just a little.
Only when it makes sense. Babies cry when it doesn't make sense.
That's correct, yeah.
So, yeah, like the second that Harrison comes through the door, like, I just go into full-on uncle mode. Like, I have to. I'm playing with him, and I'm talking Doctor Who to him,
Mm-hmm.
We're going to watch all the Doctor Who.
You need to come over here, and you guys can watch Doctor Who, and I'll take a nap.
That sounds
my daughter.
lovely.
You could, talk about it for hours on end.
Yeah, I'll just jump on the quick plane from Canada to Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's not that far.
I think you might be the only reason, visiting the Reed family would be the only reason I would ever go to Oklahoma.
That's a darn good reason.
Yes, I would concur with that, but that would be the only reason I would go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the thought had never crossed my mind beforehand.
Where do you think I was headed in that plane the other day? I was going straight to Canada.
Xavier, we're gonna get Oklahoma hate mail pretty soon.
Xavier hates Oklahoma.
Yeah, I'll just get a plethora of letters. We, the people of Oklahoma. The Dust Bowl is revolutioning against me. I'm sorry, your crops were crap back in the day. Sing a song about it. Jeez.
Yeah. So the advice here is everybody move to Japan. No kids.
Yeah. I mean, look, you don't have to deal with your family at all. Just a Skype call once a month. That's it.
Don't have to deal with your family at all. That would be a great book title right there. I like that. How not to deal with your family.
How to avoid your family.
Do you go as far as to like pre-record the messages so that way you don't even have to talk to them in person, like over Skype?
I had not thought of that before. Now I've got something I got to set up.
All right, I've done this before. It's all about timing.
The same too. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about timing.
Have any of you read any time management books or things like that to try to help with your author business?
Yes. Who hasn't?
Well, I really
haven't. You haven't? Well, you should.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. You tell me how well has it worked for you.
It all depends on what kind of mood you're in when you read them. If you're in the mood to be inspired, then you'll be inspired. If you're in the mood to whine about it, then you'll read it and be like, I can't do that. That's stupid. It just, your mindset is the biggest thing. Pick one and read it.
I read Getting Things Done, and the system that that the guy recommended in that, I found that helped me out quite a bit to keep not only writing stuff organized, but other stuff in my day organized. Because before I just try to keep everything in my head and then forget like half the things I was supposed to do.
Oh yeah, that never works.
Yeah, you always have good intentions, right? You think, yeah, I got that. I remember to do that, and then, yeah, even the simplest things like, oh, you need to stop at the store and pick up milk on the way home. Forgot, honey. Sorry.
James said he read a book on increasing hourly words 5,000 words per hour.
Yeah.
So if you're reading that, tell us what it is.
I had read that one as well. I'll have to try to find the.
Is it How to Do the Impossible?
No.
By James.
No. It's I can't remember. I think we.
Chris Fox wrote it.
Okay,
I just picked it up myself. I haven't read it yet, but he got it. He has an app that comes with it too for iOS that I've been using lately.
Oh wow!
And it's a really cool word count tracking app.
I don't see how that's possible, because I can do 2 if I'm not paying attention and 4 if I'm really going at it. But I can't imagine doing 5.
I don't know how quick a typer you are, right? I mean,
I'm a pretty fast typer.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Matt would probably weigh in on that. He cranks out some serious word counts, but
is that like 8 hours of 5,000 words?
No, he works full time, so it's.
Okay.
I haven't read the book yet, but I know Chris, and I think what he was, from talking to him, I think what he was talking about is doing it. It averages out to about 5,000 words an hour because he does it in like short sprints of like 5 minutes at a time, 25 minutes at a time, something like that. Then all together, it kind of adds up to about 5,000 words.
Okay, because I heard about this guy that wrote a whole book. It was 80,000 words in a weekend in like 2 days, because that's all the time he had, and he was just like, didn't sleep and drank Red Bull. But he doesn't do it all the time.
Yeah.
But it was done.
But again, see, this is something that, and why I kind of chose this topic of this show, because a lot of this. And again, it's not necessarily overt, but there's a ton of that around right now. How to write quicker, how to write more, how to produce more. Every time I turn around in my inbox, there's somebody talking about how to get more words out. And again, I think the pressure can, if you let it, as we've kind of talked about, get to be overwhelming, because you're always thinking, I got to be writing more words. So I'm getting my ass kicked here. Everybody else writing more words.
Yeah, it's all on how you look at it. If I stay off Facebook, I can get anything done. But all of my work contacts are on Facebook, and they message me all day long. And so I'm like, this is super important. Oh, wait, I need to write this. So if I can just figure out that one thing and keep the children alive, then
You hear that? You hear that, John Reed? Your children are still alive.
they're alive, but they're all grounded today. But
Yeah,
just don't shoot yourself in the foot.
Well, and also don't, like, as much as, you don't, those, life may put you into those corners where you may have to have, that amount of work done in such a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I think that, if you are going through saying that, I took this weekend, I didn't sleep, I got it done, and here's how I can do it, and I'm going to motivate you how to do it. My response will always be, what is healthy about sleep deprivation?
Mm-hmm.
And I think ultimately, word count, you should be writing a healthy word count, whatever that is to your day and life. If you can healthily write more, do it. If you healthily can't, then, well, you don't want to be messing with things like family. You don't want to be messing with things like eating. You don't want to be messing with things like sleeping. These are parts of your life that are, external to what your idea of I got to get things done. So I think that if you've got to the point where you have to switch off life to get the word count done for 8 hours, for 4 hours, and it's the writing that owns you. And I think that you have consciously or subconsciously put yourself in that position, and you have to know that.
I completely agree. That's why I stay up later to write, is because the kids are at home because it's summer. And they're so friggin' demanding, which they should be because they're kids. But in order to get the whole day in where I'm their only caretaker, I have to stay up late. But I also, when John comes home, if he ever comes home, then I have to, snuggle and watch movies and stuff like that and take care of him too.
Come home, John Reed, come home.
I know. It's been so long.
Sorry,
He was gone an extra day this week, and I was like, no.
I'm going to get a shirt with his face. Have you seen this man?
Well, with those books like 2K to 10K and 5,000 words per hour, I think sometimes people get a little bit too hung up on the numbers when really you should be focusing on what are the tactics they're talking about in the books, and just you may get different results from those. You may not get the same numbers, but if those tactics are helping you, then the book has worked, in my opinion.
Yeah. I remember a couple days ago, this past week, I had, I'm like, I want to hit 5K today, or I wanted to hit 4K today. Now, I didn't do that, but I think I ended up on that day, it was around 2.5K. So I was, a little disappointed that I wasn't able to hit that word count, but then I realized that, but I have finished off one chapter, and I've pretty much finished off this next chapter, so now tomorrow I only have to write a couple sentences, and this chapter's done, and I can move on to the next one with a whole new scene, and it's going to be fresh. Those little things, you have to...
I'm almost kind of been thinking about, instead of thinking about word count, thinking in terms of scenes. Okay, I want to get 4 scenes done today or whatever, and whatever that word count is, if I'm happy with the scenes, why should I care about word count so much versus, look, I made 4 scenes, I made this much farther into my narrative. That's progression, right? And that's I think what we talk about is really all it is. We just want to make sure that we're kind of getting our shit done, right? We're moving ahead. And it does seem lately, and again, it might be just me, but it just seems like a lot of talk lately has been around almost like a race. Like, hey, look at me, I can write this book fast. But fast isn't always necessarily better either. So, Xavier, I know I lost Michelle again here for a second. Have I missed any questions from the site? We've been talking for an hour already, so I want to make sure that I'm not missing anybody Any comments? Any questions that they had? Did you see anything?
Quite a few comments. Matt Morris, of course, piped up with, I wrote 5,000 words in an hour. It's on video, too.
Of course you did, Matt. Of course you did.
No, there's a lot of talking in the chat. Oh, of course, from John Reed, dear Xavier Granville, piss off, signed Oklahoma. I had that coming.
Yeah, well, we both do. We bash in Oklahoma quite a bit, but. Hey, Corey.
But no, I can't find any questions.
Here's a comment because it goes back to Chris Fox's book. Someone said that it was actually about making writing as addicting as video games. So thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's a good analogy, and I think that's what modern day video games are doing so well in being so addictive, is that they're immersive and it has a great story and music, and it captivates you and it engrosses you in all those ways. So if you were to be able to turn that paradigm onto the writing experience itself, that would be something to strive for sure.
In Elf, when the boss is talking to Buddy the elf, and he's like, work is your new favorite. Make work your new favorite. That's what you have to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nobody's seen Elf. Fantastic.
No,
I'm going to go shoot myself now.
Well, it doesn't. I don't think it does rank up there as a classic yet, Michelle.
What? You're not welcome in Oklahoma.
I already burnt that bridge.
You send me my chocolate, you can come anytime you want.
Okay.
I like Carl Sinclair has mentioned this before, and he made a comment saying his new aim is to write 2 chapters a day, and to write my chapters around 2 to 5K, or sorry, 2 to 2.5K. And if he can achieve that, then it helps. Any more than that, and his brain will get mushy and lower the quality. So yeah, coming back to writing by scenes is definitely a good way to look at it rather than word count, because scenes depending on what happens in them are going to vary as far as word count, especially with dialogue. How often has a conversation while you're writing it just goes on, and then they start talking about something that you didn't expect. So don't think that each of these 2,000 word chunks or 5,000 word chunks, or however you want to structure it, it's loose in the sense that if you focus it on scene wise, you probably will be able to get out those same amount of words, but you're not worried about the words. You're worried about just telling a story.
Excellent. Yeah, excellent point. And actually, I think a good one to end on. So, Perry, thank you for coming on the show tonight. It was really nice talking with you and getting to know you a little better. And hopefully, we haven't scared you away. And maybe we can have you back on again sometime.
No, not at all. Thanks a lot. This is great.
Yeah. So, everybody listening live, we appreciate that. Let's see. I don't know what we got coming up next week. 2 weeks from now, though, I'll plug our own show a little bit. We got our 100th episode anniversary show. Erica Conroy is going to be on that show, and some other guests that we're trying to get lined up, and it should be kind of fun and a milestone for SPRT. So, been a little bit of rocky road getting there, but 100 shows, I feel pretty cool. That feels pretty good. So,
it's a big deal.
Matt's
gonna beat us though.
Yeah, but it's not. He doesn't have to worry about weekly stuff, and he just
being cool or wearing a Thursday face.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Gotta put your Thursday face on. Right? So.
What would he do with a Thursday face? You wouldn't even know how to use it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, thank you to all the live listeners. Thank you to everybody listening to us over on iTunes. We do appreciate you guys very much. If you wouldn't mind, please take a moment, leave us a 5-star review, keep us viable Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell everybody, and maybe we can even get a sponsor. So we are looking for one. So anyway, all right. Thanks all for a good conversation tonight. Did you put a link already in, Xavier? Probably beat me to it to an after party. No?
I haven't put the link in yet.
Oh wow, usually you're ahead of me. So look at John Reed put Perry the Platypus on there. I was wondering when somebody would do that. Thanks,
Actually,
John.
I think that's the second time he's done that.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Wait till
He's
we
just-
tell him that you know that guy.
He's
Yeah.
just driving that point home.
So good. The show's so good. Or it was.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. And Xavier, you have something to say?
Good night, Internet.